let's talk about Iran striking a Singapore-flagged cargo ship in the Strait of Hormuz, testing the delicate peace in the Persian Gulf. Oil prices, as you can see right now, holding steady, still at 69 on WTI. This is despite President Trump calling the drone attack a foolish violation of the ceasefire. He says America still remains in the driver's seat.
Knock the hell out of them. And now we're negotiating from a position of pure strength, pure strength. They know that. And the strait's already open, and we're setting records of the strait. But we had to do that. They will not have a nuclear weapon, and they've agreed to that, 100% agreed to that.
Lauren Simonetti joins us now with more. Hey, Lauren.
Hey, Taylor. Hi, everybody. So despite the attack, ships and oil are still flowing through the strait. 29 ships so far today. 54 yesterday. More of them are using the Omani and the International Maritime Organization's routes. That is not sitting well with Iran. The IRGC wants to control the strait and ships to coordinate with them to use it. Listen to these warnings Iran sent to ships trying to transit. They were given to me by a ship owner, received 2 days ago when Oman and the IMO announced new temporary corridors in the strait. Listen to this.
You are approaching the Strait of Hormuz. You are ordered to leave this area immediately. You must alter course right now and go to the north of Larak Island. You are in range of my missile and maybe fire on you. Over.
The verbal warning escalated yesterday. The IRGC hit a Singapore-flagged vessel called the Ever Lovely with the drone. No casualties. The UN's Maritime Agency's Secretary General says the ship did not travel under the evacuation framework that it established. Listen.
Majority of the vessels are reporting either to the coordinates that we have provided that are being operated by Oman, others are responding or contacting the authorities in Iran in order to use the northern corridor. These particular vessels, what I can confirm to you is that it was not contacting the authorities in Oman in order to transit following the evacuation framework.
Guys, who's in charge? Just a short time ago, and you noted this, Taylor, at the top, President Trump referenced at least 4 drone attacks in the strait, saying the U.S. knocked down 3 of them, and he called it a, quote, foolish violation of our ceasefire agreement. But there was nothing about a response or a warning to Iran if you do this again. Here we are. Oil's at 69. It was at 68 earlier. The reason is you still got vessels going both ways, using all the different routes, including the dark route in the Strait of Hormuz. So you got activity buzzing again. We're not back to normal, but despite all these provocations, oil's flowing, guys.
Really, really good reporting there and sound bites, Lauren. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
It was amazing.
Okay, Marcus,
go.
You
have 2 issues. I think Brian had said it last Friday, which is the time is on our side. The longer time goes on, the more people can figure out how to travel alternatively, and that's obviously upsetting Iran. I think the second issue is the administration has to recognize where inflation is, and foolish may be a word, and action may send oil up, may send inflation up, may send rates up, and then the economy starts to look very different very fast.
However, as I listen, and I agree with you on all of that, and I do think the president is watching it closely, especially the deeper we get into the summer. Your midterms are right around the corner, so he does care. But listening to Lauren's report and hearing the audio of the IRGC telling his ships to turn around and saying, I have my missile on you. I mean, I'm like laughing because I don't know what else to do. It's like nervous laughing. This is why I feel like a regime change has to come out of this somehow, because as long as you have people like that in that country still in charge, this is a very dangerous situation. I understand we de-escalated on the nuclear side of it, and I hope that we get the inspections, and I hope they don't continue on with their program, which, you know, I think they've severely, even if they want to, they've been dethrottled in a way. But with people like this in charge, the region is still at threat of terror.
Yes.
Chris Wright, Energy Secretary, said something on Wednesday that I am continuing to think about now. He said, this is a New York City conference, Iran will not have the ability to close the Strait of Hormuz going forward. That's their key leverage, and we're taking that leverage away from them. Okay, now I don't exactly know what that means. I don't know if that means some new military thing happening that we haven't done before. I don't know what that means. And he has said things about the Strait in the past that have not been true at least once. We talked about it on this show. He said ships were moving, they weren't. Okay, that may have been a mistake. But I am paying attention to that statement because if it's true, and if he's saying it out of full knowledge of what's going on, what it means is that we have a very different posture on the Strait now than we did a month ago or 2 months ago. And he's saying it doesn't matter if Iran sends these drones. We don't need to militarily strike them. And even if we did, it doesn't matter because Iran will not have the ability to close the Strait of Hormuz going forward.
But
That's very definitive.
What if that is true? What if the strait is open and ships are passing, so oil prices stay down? But now you've got still leaders like this in charge, still part of the old regime and the old guard, and they decide, well, now you took our power out of the strait, so we are going to ratchet up with Hezbollah, and we're going to ratchet up with the Houthis, and we're going to cause all kinds of trouble in the region. And, oh, you have alternative shipping routes, we're going to cause trouble in those routes. Now what?
Well, I'll answer that. I think what it means is the war becomes hot again. But a hot war doesn't mean oil prices at $120 a barrel. Regime change is not necessarily our interest as much as I'd like to see.
I get it.
Regime,
no, I know.
Right? So, I mean, if you have the Strait and they want to do hot war stuff, we'll do that with them and we'll beat them at that. And we will not feel the pain of it like we have the past. Now, that's maybe a rosy scenario, but I'm just saying the Energy Secretary came out definitively and said that bargaining chip has changed going forward. Yeah. And if that's true, that's really big.
What was the high water mark during the real part of the war? What was the high water mark on oil? One what?
Gosh, Brent was closing in on 120s, I thought.
So it could get back to 120.
It could.
Now, if the Strait closes, but I mean, what he's saying is that's not going to happen. He's saying that's not going to happen. I don't know if that's true. I'm just saying the Energy Secretary says going forward, they cannot do what they've done the last 2 months.
When we talk about the dramatic swings, from Tuesday to Friday, the cost of hauling 2 million barrels of crude from Saudi Arabia to China fell from $514,000 to $287,000. That is a plunge of 44%.
The logistics cost.
Can I
so they're saying we're bringing prices down because there's more supply and we're moving and tankers are going through. That to me I think is a good sign that they're I don't want to say, I mean, despite what Iran is saying, maybe they're saying like, no. We're not listening to you. We're not turning around.
Just real quick, I just looked it up because I wanted to be accurate. 126 and change was the peak for Brent at the end of April during this conflict. So to your question.
They're pretty high.
Yeah.
Dagan, your thoughts?
Well, you mentioned Saudi Arabia. It's important to note, following Javier Blas, that Saudi Arabia has been loading multiple super tankers in the Persian Gulf just in the last few days, with clearly the intent of sending those super tankers through the Strait of Hormuz. 4 super tankers being loaded all at the same time. And so these are, I believe, all the LCCs, so very large crude carriers, each carrying roughly 2 million barrels of crude oil. 2 started loading yesterday at Jumeirah with their AIS visible, a 3rd waiting nearby. And then today, 2 others loading at Ras Tanura Sea Islands. That is the world's largest oil terminal. One has the AIS on, the other is dark. So those are all of the reason, I've said this and I know I'm repeating myself, but the reason that this pause happened is to get the oil flowing and to restock global inventories, period. Because they were low enough that there was going to be a massive price spike in crude and distillates to destroy demand, to curb demand. And maybe 60 days from now, our posture changes when we have rebuilt stocks, when enough oil has flowed through the strait. Maybe.
The inflation's a problem. And so we think about the barrel, the boat, the basket, the balance sheet, that stuff's flowing. And you took that 50% reduction in that supply chain cost of goods, that ultimately flows out. And that's a big deal.
I mean, look at the 10-year
Yeah.
That's
Treasury.
like deflation.
Yields are
Look at the
down.
10-year.
I mean, almost. Yeah.
So
No,
it-
we were at a 437
Yeah,
on the
that's what it
10-year
was.
this morning.
So that's all. That is all. But it's all
Yeah.
tied together. There was definitely a concern coming out of the White House, and I don't know how much it informed the president's decision making, but of oil driving inflation, the war driving more deficit spending, and the inflation, with the oil-induced inflation driving short-term interest rates higher by the Fed, that driving the deficit higher because it raises borrowing costs for the federal government. That spiral, that was definitely being talked about. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, we'll continue to talk about this going forward, I'm sure.